We all live in a solar system. It's not a big solar system or a small solar system. It's a medium-sized solar system. But what exactly is a solar system? Let's take the next 20 minutes and explore our solar system together.
This book is called Solar System by Gill McDonald. Can you guess what solar system means? Maybe you can. And maybe you know all about the solar system already. But we're going to practice the English names of these things. So let's start with the most important part of the solar system.
The solar system is the sun and everything that goes around the sun. Because the sun is so big, it has a lot of gravity. Gravity pulls things toward other things. The Earth has gravity. It is why we all stick to the Earth instead of flying away. The sun's gravity can reach very far away and make things move around and around it. This is called orbit. Everything that orbits the sun is part of our solar system.
Our solar system has one star. It is the sun. But the sun is not all the parts of our solar system. There are other things in the solar system too. All the things in the solar system travel around the sun. If it is not traveling around the sun, then it is not part of our solar system. So what kinds of things travel around the sun?
Planets. Planets are big balls that orbit the sun. There are 8 planets in our solar system. The first 4 planets are rocky planets. That means they are made of rocks. The next 4 planets are gas giants. That means those planets are made of gas. They have no rocks and no ground, so you can't walk on those planets at all. There are also dwarf planets in our solar system. Dwarf planets are too small to be called planets. The most famous dwarf planet is Pluto. Pluto used to be called a planet. My favorite dwarf planet is Mucky Mucky.
Let's talk about all 8 planets. The first one, the closest one to the sun, is called Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system, and it is pretty close to the sun. So when it goes around the sun, like this, it doesn't take very long. It goes around the sun pretty fast. It only takes 88 days for Mercury to go all around the sun. Because Mercury is so close to the sun, it's very hot, but it's not the hottest planet. The hottest planet is the next one. It's called Venus. Venus is the second planet away from the sun. It also goes around the sun. So, is Venus part of the solar system? Yes, it is. Venus is very, very hot. Why is it so hot? Well, because Venus has a lot of clouds and air, and that catches the heat like a blanket or a jacket. And so it gets super, super hot on Venus. Venus is bigger than Mercury. In fact, Venus is almost the same size as our Earth. It's just a little bit smaller. And when you look up in the sky at night, sometimes you can see a bright dot in the sky. That might be Venus, because Venus is one of the brightest things in the night sky. It takes Venus 225 days to travel around the sun. Our next planet is something we know very much about because it is our home. Can you guess what planet is the third planet from the sun? Earth. Can you guess what planet is the third planet from the sun? It's this one. This is the planet where we live, called Earth. Earth is special because it's not too close to the sun and it's not too far away from the sun. That means it doesn't get too hot or too cold. That's why we can live on the Earth. We could never live on Mercury or Venus because they are too hot. The Earth also travels around the sun. Do you know how many days is the Earth's orbit? 365 days. 1 year. 365 days is the Earth's year. It's one time around the sun. Do you want to see something really cool? Look what I have. Do you know what it is? It's a glass model of our Earth. The next planet is this one. It's called Mars. Mars is smaller than the Earth. It is the fourth planet from the sun. Can people travel to Mars? Actually, yes. But no person has ever gone to Mars yet. But soon it might happen. People might go to Mars to live. Mars has air, but it is not the same kind of air we have on the Earth. Mars is cold at night, but during the day, it's not too bad. It's warm enough for people to live. Mars has soil on the ground. The soil's color is kind of reddish brown. That means if you look at it through a telescope, it looks like a red ball in the sky. At the north and south part of Mars, there are big, giant ice caps. That means if people go to Mars, we can have water. Would you like to live on Mars? I wouldn't. The fifth planet away from the sun is the biggest one in our whole solar system. It's called Jupiter. Jupiter's orbit around the sun takes a long time. For Jupiter to travel around the sun once, it takes 12 of our years. How old are you? Are you 12 years old? If you are younger than 12 years old, like 11 or 10 years old, that means Jupiter hasn't gone around the sun even one time in your whole life. Jupiter has another very special thing. If you look at a picture of Jupiter, you can see a really big red spot. It's kind of orangey red. Well, what is it? It's actually a really big storm, like a typhoon. That storm started about 300 years ago, and it's still going on. 300 years later, that storm is still blowing on Jupiter. Wow. Our typhoons on Earth only last a few days, but on Jupiter, they can last hundreds of years. There's something else really interesting about Jupiter. It has 79 moons. That's right. A moon is something that travels around a planet, and Jupiter has 79, maybe even more. The sixth planet away from our sun is my favorite. It's my favorite because it has some really interesting thing about it. Here it is. It's called Saturn. Saturn has rings going all around it. Saturn is another giant planet like Jupiter, but it's smaller than Jupiter. It is made of gas too, so that means there is no ground. You cannot walk on Saturn because it's made of air. It's just a big ball of gas. And what about the rings? What are they made of? Well, the rings are actually made of ice and dust and rocks and gases that travel around Saturn like thousands and thousands of tiny little moons. Saturn also travels around the sun. It takes 29 years for Saturn to go around the sun one time. That means you need to wait until you're 29 years old before Saturn goes around even once. Saturn has 82 moons. Wow, that's more than Jupiter. The seventh planet away from our sun is called Uranus. Uranus is a beautiful light blue planet with a little bit of green in its color. Uranus also has rings like Saturn, but they are really, really small, so it's hard to see them. Uranus travels around the sun, so it is part of our solar system. It takes 84 years for Uranus to travel around the sun one time. So you will need to be a very old person before Uranus goes around the sun one time in your life. Uranus has 27 moons. Some of them are very small. The smallest moon is less than 20 kilometers across. That means it's smaller than Kaohsiung, much smaller than Kaohsiung, a whole moon. Uranus is the third largest planet in our solar system. Uranus is another gas giant planet. It's much bigger than the Earth, but it is smaller than Jupiter or Saturn. The 8th planet away from our sun, it's the last planet in our solar system, is called Neptune. Neptune is a beautiful dark blue planet. It is also a gas giant planet. It has no ground, so we cannot walk on it. Neptune takes a long time to orbit our sun. It takes 165 years just to go around the sun one time. Neptune has only 14 moons, which is less than the other gas giants. Maybe that's because it is the farthest one away from our sun. I like Neptune because of its color. Also, because it has another spot on it like Jupiter, where there is a storm, a giant typhoon swirling and swirling. Neptune is the last planet in the solar system, but that doesn't mean that's the end of the solar system. There is another ball that goes around the Earth, and we can see it at night. It's like a big white circle in the sky that shines light during the night. What is that called? It's the moon. The moon is not a planet. A moon is a ball that goes around a planet. So our Earth has one moon that goes around the Earth over and over and over again, and it never leaves. It just keeps going around and around and around the Earth. One trip around the Earth takes 28 days. The moon is pretty far away, but it is much closer than any other planet. That's why in 1969, some astronauts traveled to the moon, and they actually walked on the moon. Did you know because the moon is very small, its gravity is only 1/6 of our Earth's gravity? So that means if you go to the moon, you can jump 6 times higher than you can on Earth. That would be great for basketball. You could definitely dunk if you were on the moon. There might be water on the moon, and if there is, maybe people can live there. Did you know some scientists took some soil from the moon and they just grew some plants in it? That means plants can grow in soil on the moon. If you have soil, and if you have water, and if you have sunlight, you can grow plants. Of course, plants also need air to grow in, so they can't grow outside because there's no air on the moon.
Asteroids. Asteroids are rocks flying around in space. Most of the asteroids are in the asteroid belt, which is a big ring of rocks orbiting the Sun between Mars and Jupiter. Most asteroids are very small, even smaller than a car. But some asteroids are huge, like the size of Taiwan.
Sometimes asteroids will escape from the asteroid belt and fly around the solar system. Sometimes they even hit other planets or moons. So if you look at the moon, you can see there are a lot of holes on the surface of the moon. That's from asteroids or other stones smashing into the moon and leaving big holes. Our solar system also has something called comets. This is a comet. A comet is not a planet. A comet is a small ball of dust and rocks and ice that travels around the sun. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can see a comet from the Earth, but it doesn't happen very often. People who travel to space are called astronauts. Astronauts are very brave. They might travel to space for a short time or for a long time.
There are many kinds of spacecraft. The International Space Station is a home for people orbiting the Earth right now.
Right now, some astronauts are living in the International Space Station. It is going around the Earth. Sometimes you can even see it if you look up at night. It looks like a tiny white dot flying across the sky. Is the International Space Station part of our solar system? Well, let me ask you. Is it going around the sun? Yes, it is. It's going around the Earth, and the Earth is going around the sun. So the International Space Station is part of the solar system. And so are you.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm fine. Me too.
Graham, what are you wearing?
My solar system t-shirt.
Oh, and what's on it?
The solar system.
Like what?
The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Great! I have a question for you. What is your favorite part of the solar system?
The Earth.
Why?
Because it's my home, of course.
How about you, Lillian? What's your favorite part of the solar system?
Also Earth.
Why?
Because that's my home.
And you like it?
Yeah.
Me too.
Look what I have. This is interesting. It's a 3D hologram of the solar system. Can you tell which planet is which? What planet is this? It's Mercury. How about this one? It's Venus. How about the third one? This one. What's that? It's the Earth. What's the next planet after the Earth? It's Mars. How about what's the next planet after Mars? That's right, it's the biggest one called Jupiter. Jupiter is huge. How about the next one after Jupiter? Saturn. It's right here. Then we're going to go over to this one. What's that called? It's called Uranus. And then the last planet in our solar system, it's Neptune. Great job.
Go back and watch the video again. Count how many times you hear the words solar system. What is your favorite planet? Let me know your answers in the comments section.
That's it for today's class. Thank you so much for exploring the solar system with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, and please leave your comments below. I will read all of them and answer them too. Bye-bye, see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Let's pretend that this is the Earth's moon. Okay. Uh-oh.
You dropped the Earth! You just killed us all. Pai Pai,
Yeah.
what's your favorite planet?
The comet.
Is a comet a planet?
Oh,
So what's your favorite planet?
the sun.